sellout crowd is on hand tonight at Michael's 8th Avenue in Glen Burnie, Maryland. It is time once again for Ballroom Boxing. Hi again, everybody. I'm Larry Michael. Great to be back with my partner, Jon Saraceno. And again, the Michael's 8th Avenue Ballroom is filled to the rafters. And Jon, over the last couple of years, do you think that the value of a win here in the ballroom has grown?
Well, there's no question, Larry, that fighters are getting more exposure, not only nationally, but internationally. We now have fighters here that have been former Olympians. That gives them additional exposure, and it certainly increases their value on the marketplace in boxing.
Now, the exposure comes from television viewership, as we're seeing nationally and internationally. So a guy can come into the ballroom, he has a chance to raise his career up, but on the other side of the ledger, he could really take a big step back by an upset loss.
Certainly there's some risk involved because you're being shown, you're being exposed on TV, but the value of that exposure for a fighter and his manager is incalculable.
Tonight we're going to see one of the Olympians who have had so much of the spotlight recently. Before, last time here in the ballroom, it was Clarence Vincent with a convincing first-round knockout. Tonight, it is Dante Craig. Unlike Vincent, he does have a loss on his record. Anyway, that's a silver lining for Dante Craig.
Well, it depends if he learned something in that fight. In that fight, he got knocked out. Lou Duva, the man who's managing his career, says that he was very distracted going into that fight with family concerns. Really, that's the kind of an excuse that managers make for their fighters. Craig's got to put that fight out of his mind and get back on track tonight. He should be able to against a journeyman, Richard Lee Hall.
Great night of boxing action is in store for you tonight. We'll be back with Ballroom Boxing. Ballroom Boxing is brought to you by Toyota, by Budweiser, the King of Beers, by Michael's 8th Avenue, a host of grand occasions, and by BallroomBoxing.com. Welcome back to the ballroom. Larry Michael with Jon Saraceno. We're going to see a fine, young, unbeaten fighter. 8-0 Jon Vargas going up against Sam Reese. John Scheinman earlier talked to the manager of Jon Vargas, the very recognizable Dennis Rappaport.
When your viewers watch, they're seeing a youngster in 7 amateur fights and only 8 professional fights. Okay? After me saying this, your viewers are going to say, it can't be true. It's absolutely impossible. Okay? He's the most relaxed fighter. He's just one of the smartest. He does it all. Okay? You make a mistake, he makes you pay. His defense is like from the old days, the Benny Leonards, from Philadelphia, Harold Johnson. Okay? His offense. You know, it's self-serving me saying it, but my enthusiasm for him, let me put it this way, he'll leave you breathless.
So Jon Vargas has good managerial backing with Dennis Rappaport. We're going to find out if he's got the goods in the ring tonight, Jon.
Well, Rappaport stuck up for him at the weigh-in. Reese came in a pound over, wanted Rappaport and Vargas basically to ignore it, and Rappaport said, no, you better lose the weight or there's no fight.
Well, there you go. We're going to see these two warriors square off next. Let's get it started with Pat O'Malley.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready now for more Ballroom Boxing. Introducing the boxers for the 6th-round bout in the super middleweight division. Your referee in charge is Gary Campaneschi. First, to my right, out of the blue corner, wearing the black trunks with the red stripes, weighing 170.5 pounds. He is from Newport News, Virginia, with a record 5-4-2, 3 via the KO. Please welcome Sammy, Fists of Fury, Reese. To my left, out of the red corner, weighing 168.75 pounds, wearing black trunks with white. He hails from the Bronx in New York. His record, a perfect 8-0, 4 via the KO. Please welcome Johnny Boy Vargas.
Unbeaten Johnny Vargas going up against Sam Reese. Let's take a look at the matchup, Jon.
Well, there you see the numbers. Vargas weighing in a little bit less than Reese, who had to try to lose a little bit of weight. A linear reach, Larry will explain later, in Sammy Reese's favor. But Johnny Vargas, a two-fisted puncher.
I want a clean fight. The linear reach, the development of our own fight doctor, Jerome Spears. A more realistic way of taking the reach. It's from the shoulder to the arm rather than going tip of finger. You really don't have to include the measurement of the back when you measure the reach. And I think it's a more accurate description of what the reach means in the boxing ring. And if you take a look at these two fighters in the ring right now, the unbeaten Johnny Boy Vargas looks much smaller than his opponent, the underdog Sam Reese.
Well, you see how cut up Reese is. Looks like the way Roy Jones used to look at super middleweight.
Close. So what kind of boxer Johnny Boy Vargas is, unbeaten out of Bronx, New York.
Reese, a southpaw. Let's see if that presents any problems for Vargas.
This fight is scheduled for 6 rounds.
Reese got that Hagler look a little bit.
Last time out for Reese, he was knocked out here in the ballroom by the Dingling man Darnell Wilson back in February, 3rd round knockout. But the Dingling man Darnell Wilson is a heavy punching, true 175-pounder, whereas Johnny Vargas last time out at 165 pounds KO'd Christopher Medina in New York in the 4th round. What you have here is you've got a difference in sizes here in these two fighters. Question is, if you got an unbeaten fighter like Vargas, why do you put him in against a bigger man?
Well, he's a bigger man and a skilled journeyman, tougher guy. He's a bit of test for Dennis Rappaport's young protege, Johnny Vargas. Rappaport, of course, one half of the former Wacko twins, the late Mike Jones, who managed Jerry Cooney within a whisker of the heavyweight championship. And he's managed many other fighters over the years.
A stiff right jab, Sam Reese.
Dennis Rappaport, one of the more colorful boxing personalities.
Does he have a wheelbarrow for those pinky rings he's got on?
He does have some jewelry, doesn't he? I imagine Jerry Cooney paid for a lot of that.
No doubt about that.
They made a lot of money with Cooney. I don't think there's ever been a fighter in history that made more money that did not win a title than Jerry Cooney. I don't know if we could document that, but I think it's safe to say.
You gotta think about that one for a while.
Well, he made, I think, over $10 million against Larry Holmes right there.
Let him go, let him go.
That
You're right. He came within a whisker, his own whiskers, of winning that one.
Terrific left hooker who was trained, of course, by Victor Valley, and now Victor Valley Jr. training Johnny Vargas.
Oh, the bigger man right there, Sam Reese, trying to put his physical will upon Johnny Boy Vargas. Closing moments of the 1st round. Ballroom Boxing, as always, brought to you by Toyota. Good straight right hand by Vargas as round 1 comes to a close. We'll be back. Welcome back to the ballroom. Larry Michael with Jon Saraceno, Johnny Boy Vargas on the right.
Seconds out, let's go, seconds out.
Well, Vargas is going to throw a hook here, I think we're going to see. Straight right hand.
Yeah,
I was misled by a producer.
Oh.
You should never listen to those guys, Larry. You know that?
Hey, Rudy's the best. Absolute best. Round 2 underway. Ballroom Boxing is brought to you by Budweiser, the king of beers. What are you laughing about, John Scheinman?
Just got my pink slip over here. I didn't even say anything.
They're laughing back in the truck. Go ahead, guys. Have a good time. Tell us a left hook is coming, and a guy throws a straight right hand down the pipe.
I want to get back to business. I want to ask John Scheinman if it was a gamble for Dennis Rappaport. We heard your interview with him earlier. To put Vargas in against the bigger man here tonight. What do you think about that, John?
I'll tell you, in our 5 years plus of doing ballroom boxing, I haven't heard a manager come in more confident than Dennis Rappaport. And so far, after just 3 minutes, though, we're seeing this guy, John Boy Vargas, struggle here. And we're looking at it back here and saying, maybe this southpaw style of Sammy Reese is giving him a little more trouble. Vargas did not have an extensive amateur career. He's 8-0 as a pro. But this might be a new wrinkle that he hasn't seen yet, Larry.
All right, John Scheinman with us. And again, Ballroom Boxing. Seen nationally, and there is a new series, the Best of Ballroom Boxing. Get more information on the Best of Ballroom Boxing by checking us out at www.ballroomboxing.com.
Good right hand to the body by Vargas downstairs.
I think he looked at Reese right there and could tell that he was hurt. Kind of smiled a little bit. Yeah, it's like, I got you.
Well, Vargas is doing the right thing. He's trying to throw the lead right hand against the unorthodox style of Reese, but he's doing it from far outside. Can't forget he's got to also jab his way in there a little bit, get a little bit closer, close up that distance.
Vargas very patient for a young guy. 23 years old. Had an amateur career that was very, very short. 7-0 as an amateur. Tell you what I can see right now, John, is Sam Reese is moving in and his left hand is getting low. And Jon Vargas could catch him coming in with that right hand as Reese comes in with the jab at the same time, and you could see him go down. Left hook over the top by Vargas.
And Reese is getting a little bit sloppy, dropping his hands after he punches, forgetting to put his guard back up. And Vargas doing a good job of that. Gloves held high.
Nice combination on the inside by Sam Reese. There's that right hand. I mean, he can see it. He can see it's there.
Reese really wants to counterpunch.
Interesting fight here in the ballroom. 2 rounds in the books. We'll be back. Welcome back to Ballroom Boxing, brought to you by Michael's 8th Avenue, a host of grand occasions. And Michael's 8th Avenue has been hosting these Ballroom Boxing cards now. This is our 44th edition of Ballroom Boxing, and it's great to be with you. Larry Michael with Jon Saraceno. Thank you for watching Ballroom Boxing, as we're beginning to get some recognition nationwide, John, and it feels good.
The word is spreading. And the word tonight in this fight is Vargas has to learn to solve the southpaw style of Sammy Reese. You know, Sammy Reese may be also a little bit careful and maybe trying to conserve a little of energy because he had a hard time making weight. We don't know exactly what effect that's had on him. And of course, the reach advantage for Reese has been a little bit of a problem for Vargas. Reese has very long arms.
Nice jab by Reese. Good counter left hand by Reese. If Reese used that jab, John, he could gain some confidence.
You can see how unsure Jon Vargas is at times. Just doesn't have the experience to fight a southpaw.
He also doesn't have the size to be able to hold or tie up Sam Reese.
Reese has to get a little more aggressive. And Vargas, when you're fighting a left-hander, you have to also be more aggressive fighting a left-hander. But see how far on the outside Vargas is, particularly when Reese throws the jab. I don't know if Reese really knows how to fight on the inside, because every time he moves in, he clinches. He initiates a hold with Vargas. Doesn't really know, it looks like anyway, how to fight, punch, and slip on the inside.
Let's punch out here, guys. Let's go. Punch out.
Capanici telling the fighters, punch out.
Let's get the bigger man, Sam Reese, beginning to push Vargas around the ring somewhat. Vargas needs to punch his way out. I mean, he needs to take the advice of the referee, in fact.
Reese would also do well to show Vargas a little more movement, a little more side to side. He's standing right in front of him. If he could just put a little boxing movement in there, I think it's going to be that much tougher for Vargas to figure him out.
Good right hand by Vargas as Reese backed up. Best punch of the fight, scores with a left and a right. Now Reese trying to hang on and use his head on the inside, and Vargas not liking that one bit.
Well, another problem is Reese is not moving his head at all. It's a stationary target.
This combination of the fight right there. Another nice combination. And Reese is in some deep trouble right here as Vargas beginning to hammer the skull of Sam Reese. Another straight right. Right really finding the mark, and you see Reese's legs beginning to deceive him a little bit. Real big round for Johnny Boy Vargas, unbeaten from Bronx, New York. He's in command right now. We'll have more Ballroom Boxing after this. Big round for Johnny Vargas, round 3.
Well, you see Reese's head always stationary. Watch. It's just, there's no side-to-side movement. Well, he tried to duck out of a way punch there, but he's just,
that was a big left.
Yeah, he's standing too erect.
Jerry Campaneschi needs the ice cleaned up in the corner of Sam Reese.
Here goes Victor Valley Jr. after being scolded by the Maryland Commission. Clean that ice up. They are strict here in Maryland.
They really are.
Better watch your P's and Q's, Larry.
Dot your I's and cross your T's as well. You see the jab now from Sam Reese trying to turn the tide. Let's check in with Jon Scheinman through 3 rounds. John, how much do you have Johnny Boy ahead by?
Well, I only have the fight close in score. He's only up 29-28 on my card. I gave Reese the second round, but that was a dominant round for Vargas. And if I'm him, I step on the gas here to see if I can't get Reese out. I think he really hurt him in the last round, Larry, and discouraged him.
But I have to agree with Jon Scheinman. Jon Saraceno, how do you have it scored through 3?
30-27, but I wouldn't necessarily argue with the second round going to Reese. That was his best round of the fight. He has come out here more aggressively with the jab and also the wrestling moves.
He's using his size advantage and strength advantage the best way he can. I think he almost has to fight that way and try to rough Vargas up. He can't beat Vargas from the outside.
Well, if he moved a little bit more and used the jab consistently, I think he could give Vargas the fits, really, but that's not the kind of fighter he is. You're not going to be able to change your style. And you know what? Reese is sucking wind right now, and I think making weight was a problem in this fight. He weighed in at 170.5, but he was heavy. Yesterday at the weigh-in, we mentioned before, Dennis Rappaport, who manages Johnny Boy Vargas, did not allow him that extra pound. He said there won't be any fight if you don't get down to weight, and so he had to sweat it out, and that's one of the worst things a fighter can do.
Well, if you take a look at the most recent weights for Sam Reese, he checked the scales at 170.5. Previous, though, 173, 180, 174, 173, 183, 158 back in 1998.
Well, there you go.
Was the last time he was close to the 170 mark.
There you go. So this was difficult for him to make weight. It's probably sapped his energy, and maybe that's why he's not being so aggressive. He realizes he has to have something in the tank.
Oh, whistling shot right past the whiskers of Reese. You can feel the breeze from that one. Once again, though, Reese, a bigger man than Vargas.
But not more skilled.
No.
Watch Vargas shoot that lead right hand. He's getting ready to shoot it again. Now he threw the jab first, then the left hand.
Reese really not doing a whole lot, John. This fight is at the pace that Vargas is dictating right now.
Well, again, I think Reese is tired. It's the 4th round, and he's tired. It's going out of his legs and out of his arms. You can see it.
This fight is scheduled for 6 rounds tonight here in the Ballroom. Ballroom Boxing, brought to you by ballroomboxing.com. More to come. All right, we're back in the ballroom. Larry Michael with Jon Saraceno. Jon Scheinman is here as well. In the ring right now, we have John Vargas, unbeaten, 8-0. From Bronx, New York, in the black trunks with a white trim, going up against Sam Reese. Reese coming into this fight with a record of 5-4-2.
Little low there.
3 knockouts to his credit. Out of the 8 wins for Vargas, 4 have come by way of knockout.
Dennis Rappaport, a pretty slick manager, particularly by today's standards, because a lot of managers today, I don't think are the savvy types we used to see in yesteryear, but a lot of people wonder, gee, fight a left-hander, a guy who's bigger and stronger. But I think Dennis Rappaport probably knew what he was getting with Reese, a 5-4-2 fighter who was going to have to come down in weight. So far, it's working.
Vargas really in control right now. Hasn't been hurt by Reese. Reese stunned by Vargas a couple times. Neither man has been down in this fight. And the thing that Vargas has to learn from this fight as a youngster, 23 years old, unbeaten, is fighting a bigger man, fighting a southpaw. A lot of lessons to be learned in a fight like this.
And it's a good fight for a young fighter to take, of course, if he wins the fight. And you feel that your fighter's so much better skill-wise and has some kind of a weight advantage. not in terms of poundage, but the fact that the other guy had to drop weight to come in.
Right.
This is a good learning experience. I mean, this is invaluable for Johnny Vargas. You're not going to get this kind of work in a gym, really.
No.
Come on, hands are free. Let's go. Hands are free.
Little left hook there by Reese, scored, but really nothing behind it. So now you've got to be questioning whether punching power has also been sapped from Reese.
Yeah, I think he's a little arm weary.
Let's punch out of there. Hands are free.
And he has to be a lot more aggressive to try to pull this one out.
Free. Let's go. Punch out.
He's running out of time here.
Nice combination by Johnny Vargas. Another combination as Reese pulled back.
Vargas, a sharp puncher. Not the biggest puncher, but he's fairly accurate.
Vargas beginning to use his head a little bit on the inside now. Here in the 5th round, this fight scheduled for 6. Sam Reese continues to be there for Vargas, but not making him pay for any mistakes in the ring.
Let him go. Come on, punch out.
I don't think the judges are going to have a difficult time scoring this fight.
Come on, everybody's loose.
5th round coming to a close here is Jon Vargas. Once again, keeps his tempo in the ring. 6th and final round is next. Action from the 5th round moments ago as Jon Vargas off the ropes. Scoring with the right hand there, kind of with his forearm.
A little bit wide, yeah.
So once again, Gary Campanishi holding things up as both corners clean up after their between round drenchings. And here we go, 6th and final round. Checking with Jon Scheinman, I can predict this scorecard in favor of Vargas. How big of a lead do you have, John?
Well, yeah, it's predictable. 49-46. Vargas is winning the fight, and he's probably going to win it if it goes on like this. But I got to tell you, Larry, to be honest, I'm disappointed in Jon Boy Vargas in this fight. I think he has found a comfort zone that is so easy for him that he's afraid to venture out of it. And when you have a fighter who's 8-0 and you're getting worldwide television exposure, you got to show a little more verve, a little more explosiveness. You really got to earn your position as being a rising star, and this is just too easy for him, and he's taking it too easy. I'd like to see him turn it on here in the last round.
All right, Jon Scheinman's viewpoint. What about you, Jon Saraceno?
Well, he's pitching virtually a shutout, so he must be doing something right. But Jon Scheinman's point is well taken, because when you're on international TV and you're getting this kind of quote-unquote free exposure, you do have to raise it up a notch. But I think with his opponent being left-handed, I think it was an additional challenge him for tonight, and I think it's been a learning experience.
How about Sam Reese? Could he have done something differently here to try to alter what is apparently an outcome that won't be in his favor?
Well, he couldn't do anything about the fact that he had a hard time making weight, probably, unless he didn't train hard enough, but he's been fighting at a much heavier weight over the years, so there really wasn't a lot he could do there. I think that affected what kind of aggressiveness he had tonight, because he needed to be a lot more aggressive and take some chances, and he was unable to do that.
Vargas too quick for Reese. Good right hand by Vargas coming in.
That body shot really hurt Reese downstairs. Winced. I think he's trying to survive right now, basically.
No question. And Johnny Vargas apparently is headed toward his 9th straight win, if he can stand upright here.
I would like to hear Jon Scheinman pose that question if we have a post-fight interview of Vargas. I think that's an interesting question to ask him. Do you think you could have done more, should have done more, been a little more oppressive, and did you play it kind of safe?
Well, if you send in security guards with me, I'll ask them the questions.
You know, he's a young guy, John. You have the veteran leadership over him. You've got the experience over him. I don't know. It's a pick-em situation.
Headbutt him if nothing else.
And you see Sam Reese continues with that right jab, but it's been an ineffective weapon. And this one will go to the judges' scorecards as it goes the distance. Jon Vargas, Sam Reese. Good fight. We'll be back with the decision in a moment. Well, Jon Vargas came in here very highly touted, unbeaten out of Bronx, New York. It appears that he will remain unbeaten. Let's make that official with Pat O'Malley.
Your attention, please, ladies and gentlemen. We go to the scorecards. Judge Don Richards scores at 59-55. Judge Malik Waleed scores at 60-54. And Judge Kenny Chevalier scores at 59-55. The winner by unanimous decision, Johnny Boy Vargas.
Johnny Vargas victorious again. He is 9-0. Fans not exactly thrilled with the outcome. No complaints with that decision, though, John.
No, it's pretty clear cut, and I think Vargas just really outmanned him tonight.
We'll be right back with Jon Scheinman and an interview with the winner. Welcome back to Ballroom Boxing. Now let's go to Jon Scheinman and an interview with the winner.
Congratulations on the victory, still 9-0. We thought at ringside that you had a little problem with this guy's southpaw style. Did you feel the same way in the ring?
Yeah, he gave a little trouble because when we got wrapped up, he was kind of like pressing on my head, hitting me in my back, you know, something. But I'm not complaining. He was kind of awkward too, kind of tall. But
how many southpaws have you fought in your career?
2. This is my second one.
So it's a good learning experience, right?
Great learning experience. Great learning experience.
Let's turn out to Dennis Rappaport, the manager at Jon Boy Vargas. Promoter, why don't you rate the performance of your protege here?
It was not the type of, you haven't seen Johnny Vargas tonight. This was a completely different style for him. He should have been, I felt, more prepared. He worked hard, but you have not seen Johnny. The guy I was talking about, you haven't seen here tonight. Believe me, I said he'd leave you breathless. It didn't happen tonight, but it's going to happen. Okay.
John, you're going to come back to the ballroom and fight here again?
Definitely, this place is great for boxing. The atmosphere, the ring, everything is good about this place.
We got a rising star here, Jon Boy Vargas, 9-0 now. Let's go back to ringside to Larry and John.
Blunt words from the promoter of Jon Vargas. Good job, Jon Scheinman. More Ballroom Boxing coming up. Don't go away. Welcome back to Ballroom Boxing. Larry Michael with Jon Saraceno. Our next fight is in the ring. It is Lenord Pierre, an unbeaten Canadian, with Kevin Rooney in his corner. Going up against tough Larry Parks. Jon Scheinman with the preview. John.
Larry, you can't get a better pedigree than Lenord Pierre. He was a #1 Olympic alternate in the '96 games at junior middleweight. He fights out of Catskill with Kevin Rooney and Bill Clayton. This guy's supposed to be very good, and he should get a tough fight tonight with Larry Parks.
All right, Jon Scheinman. Kevin Rooney in the corner of Pierre. What does he bring to the party, John?
Well, he brings a very loud voice. I know that. Rooney's got a lot of experience, so of course was really known for training Mike Tyson many years ago.
All right, we are ready. Let's go to our ring announcer now, Pat O'Malley.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready now for more Ballroom Boxing. First is 4-round bout in the middleweight division. Your referee in charge is Gary Campaneschi. Judging the bout, John Guadalupe, Bill Holmes, and Malik Waleed. Introducing the boxers. First to my right, out of the blue corner, wearing the red trunks, weighing 158.5 pounds. He hails from Atlantic City, New Jersey, with a record of 2-2. Please welcome Larry "For Real" Parks. To my left, out of the red corner, wearing the white trunks, weighing 159.5 pounds. He comes to us via the Catskills in New York. His record, 2-0, 2 by KO. Please welcome Lenord Pierre.
Very highly touted Lenord Pierre. Jon Saraceno, take a look at the matchup, please.
Well, really, the numbers are basically statistically irrelevant because they're very close. The interesting thing was that Larry Parks had to have his beard trimmed prior to this fight.
Well, it might be because he was knocked out in his last 2 fights, and the beard might have been a little extra cushion. Had to get the trim before the fight. Let's see if it makes any difference against Lenord Pierre, the Canadian, fighting out of Catskill, New York. The very recognizable Dateline, Catskill, New York. Kevin Rooney in the corner. Gary Campaneschi is the 3rd man in the ring. Lenord Pierre, former Olympian, former amateur star. He is 22 years old, and here he comes with that bobbing and weaving style already. John, you can just see. Been watching some films from some guy named Mike, maybe?
Well, that's the Customato school of boxing that's been passed down by Kevin Rooney. The bob and weave. Floyd Patterson used it also as a heavyweight in the 60s and late 50s.
Now, Larry Parks has not fought since March of 2000 when he was knocked out by Philip Thrasher. Good left hand by Parks scores.
We talked about the beard by Parks. That was Rooney's camp. And actually Kevin Rooney complaining that they thought it might give him a cushion for his chin, trim that beard up, and the commission made him trim it at the weigh-in. Very unusual indeed.
Overhand right by Pierre. Scores. This fight is scheduled for 6 rounds. Pierre has had 2 professional fights, both wins by knockout. Good body work by Pierre with the right hand. Both of them coming in 2002. Both of them in the first round. So Larry Parks trying to extend Lenord Pierre past the first round here tonight.
I hope Pierre doesn't hear you calling him Lenord, because he pronounces it Leonard. Well, oh no, actually he does. The D is silent. It's Lenord.
Do not call him Leonard.
Yes.
Right.
I will be apologizing to him.
You call him Leonard. I'm not going to do that. Good stiff jab by Pierre. Doesn't want to be called Leonor.
Okay.
Let's just call him Pierre.
Enough of the diction lessons,
He gets
right?
tagged with a nice jab by Larry Parks. And you see the body punching of Pierre. He scores with the jab, going to the body. You see the footwork by Pierre. He is all over the place. Got to work with the footwork.
This has been a very active first round by both fighters. No filling out process.
Saw Pierre take that big step to the right. Good left-right counter by Larry Parks, but he finds himself up against the ropes.
Well, one thing that Pierre is doing wrong, he's really spreading his legs. Oh, he's out.
He's out already. He's out before he hits the ground. That left shot.
Fight's got to be stopped. It's got to be stopped.
Larry Parks rolling up against the ropes.
What is he? I mean, he was out on his feet for 3 seconds before he hit the canvas.
Got to keep him down. Larry Parks, devastating power from Lenord Pierre as Larry Parks gets hammered. They got to get him a stool. And you see the jubilant Lenord Pierre.
He's badly hurt, very wobbly. They got him on the stool right now. There he is, Parks, in his 5th fight.
Had fought in 2 years, very game, trying to get up. And I'm telling you right now, John, he was out before the last.
Your attention, please, ladies and gentlemen. The winner by KO at 2:24 of round 1, Lenord Pierre.
Well, call him what you want to. His name is Pierre, and he is unbeaten, 3-0 with 3 first-round knockouts to his credit. John, you take a look at a kid like that, very raw, but he has a lot of tools, has a lot of power. How far do you think he can go?
No way of knowing right now. 3 fights, you can't really tell. Kevin Rooney is a pretty good trainer, should be able to help him. It depends on how much work the kid wants to put in the gym between fights. Certainly is a very aggressive fighter. He's going to have to work on some of his fundamentals, obviously.
We'll be right back with Jon Scheinman and an interview with the winner. Welcome back to Ballroom Boxing. Now let's go to Jon Scheinman and an interview with the winner.
Lenord, as advertised, like you told me yesterday at the weigh-in, Tyson-like style, taught to you by your trainer, Kevin Rooney. Tell us about this short bout here with Larry Parks.
You just have to put your body after the punches, that's all.
Was the tactics pressure the whole way and just wear this guy down?
No, if that's what you want to do, it depends on whatever you want to do. Because the matter of boxing technique style is not just one dimension, it's many.
Before you came to Kevin Rooney and Catskill, New York, were you fighting a different style?
No, I've always been with Kevin fighting under that one style.
So this is just building on what you already knew?
Just building up.
Here's a guy to watch, Lenord Pierre with Kevin Rooney. Let's go back to ringside.
All right, John, a man of few words. Lucky Pierre victorious again tonight. More Ballroom Boxing coming up. Welcome back back to the ballroom. Larry Michael with Jon Saraceno. You know, John, it's not often we have two fighters who are veterans who face off against each other with 500 records. And that's what we have coming up next. Derrick Whitley out of Holyoke, Mass, going up against Barry Butler. In fact, Derrick Whitley had a very interesting route to this fight. John Scheinman asked him about it earlier.
I don't think anything exemplifies the fluidity of the sport of boxing any more than how you landed in this fight tonight with Barry Butler. Why don't you tell the fans at home a little bit about how you got into this battle?
Well, the thing is, we were going to Germany. We had a fight scheduled for Saturday up in Germany. And the thing is, the fight fell out because there was a tragedy out there. We don't know what the tragedy was, whether it's something to do with the fighters or maybe that shooting that was out there. So we got a call. And Scott asked me, you know, you want to fight Barry Butler? This is a good fight. You know, to give you a chance to. I'd like both of you guys to give you a good opportunity.
And you mean your twin brother, Darren?
And my twin brother, Darren, was supposed to fight, but Darren's fight fell out. And then I was supposed to fight one of the Sims brothers, and that fell out. So then that's how me and Butler got to fight each other.
I mean, it's so roundabout. You're trying to prepare for each bout of your career as you go on, and lo and behold, you wind up in a guy on short notice, and it's a tough guy like Barry Butler. Is that tough to prepare for?
Well, the thing is, I was already preparing myself for it. I already had my mind set for another fight. So I was already focused in the zone, so it didn't matter who it came to be fighting. But it is a little frustrating when it comes to when they tell you at the last minute, well, we got this opponent. You know, it does get frustrating. But the thing is, I'm still in my zone, I'm still focused, and I'm still ready to go.
From our perspective, Barry Butler versus Derrick Whitley is going to be one of the top fights tonight. Let's go back to ringside.
We got two 500 fighters, Derrick Whitley and Barry Butler. Whitley, we saw him get the 500. His career has really been on the rise the last couple of years, John.
Well, he's a tough, consummate pro. I mean, he comes to fight every time in the Ballroom Boxing Series. Little fanfare. He's got no Olympic breeding or anything like that, but he's a guy who gives it his all.
It's going to be a good one. Barry Butler going up against Derrick Whitley. Let's get it started with Pat O'Malley.
Now let's get ready for more Ballroom Boxing. The Maryland State Athletic Commission Chairman Carl N. Milligan Jr., Executive Director Patrick Pinella, and Ballroom Boxing promoter Scott Wagner, matchmakers Josh Hall and Chris Middendorf present this 8-round bout in the light heavyweight division. Your referee in charge is Bill Holmes. Judging the bout, Kenny Chevalier, John Guadalupe, and Don Risher. Introducing the boxers. First to my left, out of the red corner, wearing the white trunks trimmed in black, weighing 175 pounds. He is from Greenville, South Carolina, with a record of 10-10, 8 KOs. Please welcome Barry Butler. To my right, out of the blue corner, wearing the red trunks with black, weighing 174 1/4 pounds. He comes to us from Holyoke, Massachusetts, with a record of 17-1, 8 via the KO. Please welcome Derrick Double Impact Whitley.
Saraceno with the matchup.
Well, you see the size differential, at least from a height standpoint. Barry Butler, 6'1". Derrick Whitley only listed at 5'9".
Oddity here is that last fight for Barry Butler was here in the ballroom in March. He knocked out Derrick's twin brother, Darren Whitley. So payback on the mind of Derrick Whitley tonight here in the ballroom. Bill Holmes, the referee. This fight scheduled for 8 rounds. Round 1 underway. Ballroom Boxing, as always, brought to you by Toyota. And a reminder, folks, there is a new series coming out, The Best of Ballroom Boxing. For more information on that, go to the web, www.ballroomboxing.com. Derrick Whitley fighting with a lot of confidence right now, getting back to 500. Talk about Whitley being a consummate professional. Doesn't have great punching power, but is in tremendous condition and keeps that way.
Well, this fight on paper looks like it's a distance fight. Both fighters combined over 50 professional fights, only 12 knockouts. So this is going to be a chess match on canvas.
Step back. Okay, don't hold him. Don't hold him.
Barry Butler diving in with a left jab at the southpaw Whitley. Barry Butler's been in against southpaws before, so has some experience against left-handers. Down goes Barry Butler.
So much for Saraceno's prediction.
Wow, and he is hurt. He is wobbled. Can he get up? He is very shaky right now in the first round. Derrick Whitley looking to put a quick end to this one.
Whitley, not known as a power puncher. Can he finish him?
Scores with a left hand and another left hand. Butler in a whole lot of trouble, and Bill Holmes steps in and calls a halt to the fight. He called a halt to the fight. The fight is over. The fight is over after a quick blitz by Derrick Whitley. This fight is stopped at the end of round one. It is over, shockingly. The fight has been called.
Well, you don't know if that's based on what happened in the ring or what happened earlier tonight, because the commission is very wary of fighters taking too much punishment, and certainly Butler was getting it tonight, but that is a questionable call in our view. We're going to get a look at the first knockdown.
Very questionable. Let's take a look at how the fight unfolded in round one. That was a good overhand left that hurt Barry Butler. No doubt about that. He went down. He was hurt. And Bill Holmes came in, and Derrick Whitley gets payback for his brother Darren, who was knocked out in Barry Butler's last fight. And Derrick Whitley now is above 500, and here is how it ended. Let's take a very close look at this.
He walked straight to me, but he was not 100%. He was
good uppercut.
Or so, and then, I mean, it went downhill fast.
And Bill Holmes steps in and stops the fight.
Well, Barry Lee Butler had not been stopped in a fight in 7 years. Courtney Butler was the last fighter to stop him right here in Maryland. So it's not as if he comes in with a real suspect chin, but the referee doesn't necessarily have to be concerned with that.
We have a TKO at 145 of round one. The winner, Derrick Double Impact Whitley.
Derrick Whitley is above 500 finally, and boy, what a long road it's been for Derrick Whitley to get above 500. Seemed to me Barry Butler could have continued, especially both men being 500, both men being veterans, been around before. Butler looked in pretty good shape when the fight was stopped.
Well, he was hurt from that left hand. There's no question about it. He got up, though, and continued to fight back. There were some glancing blows, I think, along the ropes that we're going to see. That uppercut hit him along the right cheekbone. As he started to sag through the ropes, he got hit with another uppercut, and really not a whole else lot landed, and he wasn't going down. He was just trying to get out of harm's way.
In fact, he's moving forward.
But certainly a debatable call.
We'll be right back with Jon Scheinman and an interview with the winner. Welcome back to Ballroom Boxing. Now let's go to Jon Scheinman and an interview with the winner.
You know, you're not really known as a knockout puncher. You look like George Foreman out there. What was going on? What'd you clip him with?
I caught him with a left hook. I figured he threw his jab, and I timed it and stepped around and came over with the overhand left. And that's what we were working on. But my thing is like this: we work on counter punching and timing. Because I'm more experienced. So now it's time to be smart in the ring. You know, be a technician, be an operator. And that's what I came to do. And I know he had power, and he's tall and awkward, so, you know, you have to take your time. And then when you see it burst in. And I knew he was a slow starter from watching from my brother's fight. I knew he was a slow starter, so I figured if I get on him right away, then, you know, I take him out. And I know I hit hard. I can hit hard.
Oh, wait a minute. I'm not questioning your power. Far be it from me to do that. You know, the last time in the ballroom, your brother Darren fought him, and you came out and you stopped the fight yourself. You didn't like what you were seeing. Was there any revenge factor here tonight, or was it strictly business for you?
No, it was kind of revenge for my brother, because my brother came in sick. And people on the outside, spectators, don't see that. They just want to see a fight. But when I see my brother hurt, and, you know, why let him end his career in a fight where I know he's not in his full condition? There's other times, and, you know, there's always a rematch. So I felt to let them know that it was just a fluke. So when they fought me, I just let him know. That's all.
Derrick Whitley getting the revenge for his brother Darren with a stunning first-round stoppage of Barry Butler. Let's go back to ringside.
Thanks, Jon Scheinman. Stay tuned for more Ballroom Boxing. Welcome back to Ballroom Boxing. Larry Michael with Jon Saraceno. Last time here in the ballroom, we had the Olympian Clarence Vinson off the Sydney Team USA. Tonight, another member of that team, Dante Craig, as he takes on Richard Hall. Jon Scheinman talked to the Olympian Dante Craig earlier tonight about this bout.
Dante, big fight tonight in the ballroom against Tiger Lee Hall. What does this mean to you in your career as you're coming up?
I feel that I've been coming up in my career slowly, so I feel tonight I got to look my best, just like I do all my fights. Just take my time in the ring and work on the stuff my man Tommy Brooks been showing me in training camp.
Not a bad trainer. What kind of things does Tommy Brooks bring to you, and with all the experience with the world champions that he's worked with?
Tommy a great guy. He worked with Mike Tyson, worked with the best, Sweet Pea Whitaker, and he came up under Lou Duva, so he one of the best trainers I could get, and he's been teaching me how to pop my double jab and stay in my angle, and that's what I'm going to be working on tonight.
Tiger Lee Hall, your opponent tonight, he's fought in the ballroom before. He's got the experience with this crowd, but you also have Olympic experience. You went around in the Olympic Games. Who do you think has the advantage from that standpoint?
Of course, I know I got the advantages being the amateurs and having 200 fights in the amateurs. So, but really, it's only take one punch to get a guy up out of there. So I'm really going to be taking my time and just working my jab, and hopefully I get him up out of there.
Now, one moment you're talking about a jab, one moment you're talking about one punch. What are we going to get tonight? One punch knockout? What's it going to be?
A little both. It's going to be a little mixture.
We'll be looking to see what happens here tonight. We got Dante Craig, an Olympian, against Tiger Lee Hall. Let's go back to ringside.
All right, thank you, Jon Scheinman. Dante Craig and all the other Sydney Olympians have had a lot of attention put on them, Jon Saraceno. Things have changed. Used to be you had to have a gold medal to get this kind of hype.
Well, it certainly saw fighters like Sugar Ray Leonard and Oscar De La Hoya turn pro on national network TV for a lot of money. But these guys are getting exposure in their own way internationally, and that's important to their careers.
All right, Dante Craig in the ballroom tonight. Let's get this party started with Pat O'Malley.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready for more Ballroom Boxing. This 6-round bout in the junior middleweight division. Your referee in charge is Malik Waleed. Judging the bout, Kenny Chevalier, Bill Holmes, and Don Risher. Introducing the boxers. First to my right, out of the blue corner, wearing the white trunks with red, weighing 151 pounds. He comes to us from Rocky Mount, North Carolina, with a record of 6-7-1, 4 via the KO. Please welcome Richard Tiger Lee Hall. Out of the red corner, wearing the blue trunks with white, he weighs 150 pounds. He hails from Cincinnati, Ohio. He's being trained by Tommy Brooks. His manager is Lou Duva. His record 5-1 with 5 KOs. Please welcome Dante Craig.
Dante Craig, the Olympian, with our friend Lou Duva in the corner. Jon Saraceno with the matchup.
Well, Dante Craig with that advantage on the linear reach, 72 3/4 is 69.5. That should serve him well.
You've seen Tiger Lee Hall, Richard Hall to be exact, in the ballroom before. Right now he has a chance to make a name for himself against the Olympian Dante Craig, who has been knocked out before. We'll get to that story in a moment. Richard Tiger Lee Hall in the ballroom last time out was a loser by 6-round decision to the Raging Cajun Cliff Richard. We wish him all the best as he recuperates from a tragic accident. All the best to the Raging Cajun Cliff Richard. We hope he gets well soon. So Dante Craig out of Cincinnati, Ohio. Very well-schooled fighter. Amateur record, check this, 200 wins, 12 losses as an amateur.
So you know this kid can box.
Getting to his lone loss, John, we talked about it earlier. This kid has lost a fight. He was knocked out in his third professional fight, really. And they were selecting the opponents very gingerly, but he was knocked out in the third round by someone named Sherman Davis. And Lou Duva gave us some of the reasoning behind it, just a young kid with too much on his mind.
Well, he said that Craig's family had become a distraction. You know, he was trying to please them all week, make sure tickets were in order. There's a lot of distractions ringside, a lot of commotion. You know, I think Lou is trying to put the best face on a knockout personally. Not to say that he wasn't distracted, but you know, you do have to blot that out in the ring.
Just to play devil's advocate, I mean, this kid certainly on paper a much better fighter than the man that knocked him out, especially with the 200 amateur wins and just 12 losses. So possibly the mental side of it is something that Dante Craig needs to work on, because if you look at the physical side, there's no reason he should have been knocked out.
Right. And he probably learned a very valuable and expensive lesson with that knockout loss. I'll tell you what, he just got drilled there pretty good with a left hook, but a warning from the referee.
Low blow preceded that left hook to the head.
And once a fighter's knocked out, particularly a young fighter, doubt does creep into his mind. And it can become a stumbling block to overcome. You have to rebuild him slowly, rebuild his confidence. And that's what Lou Duva is trying to give Dante Craig right now. Lou Duva certainly has the experience. 80 years young, been in a fight game probably about 70 of those 80 years. And of course has had a long list of former champions.
Just a beautiful guy, to be honest with you. Good friends with Lou Duva for many years. Just a real good guy. We could sit there and listen to war stories with Lou Duva forever about the old fighters, about Rocky Marciano, all the different fighters he's been with.
He was good friends with Rocky.
All his champions, Rocky Lockridge, going back to Johnny Bumpus. Just champion after champion. Probably the greatest champion he had was Pernell Whitaker, I'd have to think. Of course, he did train Evander Holyfield for quite a long time as well.
And Meldrick Taylor wasn't a bad fighter in his prime either. Tyrell Biggs never became the champion they thought he would, maybe coming out of the Olympics. Zab Judah, another guy.
Good left hook, just whistles past the head of Dante Craig. Round one. That is round one. Is over. We'll be back. Tommy Brooks right in the face of Dante Craig, and he got stunned early in round one after a low blow. Let's take a look. Here's a low blow, and it was followed by a hook that scored right on the button. Round two underway. Jon Scheinman along with us, as always, here in the ballroom. John, how'd you have that first round score?
I gave it a Tiger Lee Hall. I didn't think a lot of punches were landed by either fighter, but he landed the significant blows, particularly the ones we saw in the replay. Dangerous fight here, guys. And I'll tell you something. You both mentioned Johnny Bumpus, and this Dante Craig, I mean, I hope he's not like that, but Bumpus had a very long amateur career, and when he got to the pro game, yes, he won a world title, but he had really left a lot of it in the amateurs, and you wonder if that's the case with Dante Craig. We're going to find out.
Dante Craig, 23 years old, from Cincinnati, Ohio.
He's being groomed, let's face it. He's got terrific sparring. He's got a nutritionist who works with him, even his own accountant. Certainly, Richard Hall out of North Carolina does not have that silver spoon in his mouth. So it's two fighters going down different tracks, and right now Richard Hall is going to try to derail the young prospect Dante Craig.
All of Craig's victories have come by way of knockout, and he came right back after that knockout loss. Good exchange of jabs there. See Richard Hall beginning to bring a little heat right into the grill of Dante Craig.
He's really showing Craig no respect here, and he's beating Craig to the punch at times.
Craig needs to come up with a strategy here in this fight. Maybe a little side-to-side movement.
Well, he's doing a good job of establishing the left hand.
Yeah, great head movement by Richard Lee Hall, though. Well, not that time. And down he goes.
That was some shot, some combination. I tell you what, Craig really set up Richard Hall.
He's not going to make it. Wow, what a stunning knockout victory for Dante Craig. And Richard Lee Hall has a hurt leg. He's got a hurt leg. When he went down, I think he twisted his ankle.
Well, you know what? It could be a lot worse when you have a vicious knockdown like that. So thank goodness it's not something more serious. And there you see the winner, Dante Craig, with Tommy Brooks telling him what he did right and what he did wrong.
Yeah, Richard Lee Hall is okay. I think he's got a sprained ankle or maybe even a knee problem there.
It looks like the ankle there. You're right. We're going to go to a replay now of this knockout by Dante Craig.
Hall had such great head movement, then he stopped the head movement. Let's see what the knockout punch was. Oh, it was that left hook.
Now here comes the right hand. Watch.
That was the right hand.
Here it is right there.
On the butt, and there he goes down. Wow.
Yeah. And he really set it up with a left hook to the body that I think froze Richard Lee Hall a little bit.
Hall's in a lot of pain right now. I believe it is his right knee. Or it's his ankle.
It's a high ankle sprain, Larry, I think. I mean, without trying to diagnose it from here. But that's what he seems to be saying to the Maryland physicians.
Well, they're going to have to help him off. At least he is good, in good condition from the knockout. But Dante Craig, impressive fashion. Second round knockout. Let's take a look at this from a different angle. It was the left hook that set up the right hand.
There's the jab. I think he's going to throw a left hand along the hip area here. You're going to see coming up. The sequence is a little bit after this. As the fighters separate momentarily. I don't know if we're going to get it in this sequence, actually.
Right here, coming up. Watch the left hook from Dante Craig.
There's the body shot along.
Right.
Seemed to freeze him momentarily. Boom. Right down the middle.
Oh, there you could see it was his right knee that got buckled, got caught underneath him. Now they're helping Richard Hall out after that knee injury and the devastating knockout by Dante Craig. Let's make this official. Let's go to Pat O'Malley.
Attention, please, ladies and gentlemen. The winner by knockout at 150 of round 2, Dante Craig.
Dante Craig victorious here in the ballroom tonight. We'll be right back with Jon Scheinman and an interview with the winner. Welcome back to Ballroom Boxing. Now let's go to Jon Scheinman and an interview with the winner.
Dante, in the first round, Tiger Lee Hall hit you with a low blow and then really clocked you with a left hand. And we were wondering, oh, it's taking him a little time to get going. Guess it turned out differently.
Right, I just wanted to really go in there and take my time. But when he hit me with the low blow, I shouldn't have dropped my hands. I should have protected myself at all times, but I made a mistake and I deserve to get hit like I got hit.
It's part of the learning experience for a young fighter, even though you have, what, 200 and some amateur bouts, but I guess you still can learn things like that.
Yep, you still can learn in this game, and especially as a professional. I'm trying to change my style as an amateur into a professional and learn how to take my time in the ring, but I'm the Inferno, so I got to make it hot.
Now, you seem to be a tentative boxer there through the first round, but then you really showed the power. I mean, how do you look at yourself as a fighter?
I look at myself as a boxer puncher, and that's what I was doing. I was trying to learn more to box, but he kept bringing it, so I had to bring it too.
Dante Craig, thunderous knockout of Tiger Lee Hall here in the ballroom. Let's go back to ringside to Larry and John.
Well, that's two Olympians we've seen in the ballroom, Clarence Vincent and now Dante Craig, both winners in very, very impressive fashion.
Very impressive. Anytime a fighter comes back after a recent knockout, a young fighter, and scores a knockout like that, you got to be happy if you're his manager and his trainer.
I know Lou Duva's happy. Dante Craig goes home a winner tonight in the ballroom. We'll be back. Welcome back to Ballroom Boxing. Now let's go to Pat O'Malley for the introduction of the fighters.
And now, let's get ready for more Ballroom Boxing. This, an 8-round bout in the junior lightweight division. The referee in charge is Kenny Chevalier. The judges at ringside, Bill Holmes, Don Risher, and Malik Waleed. Introducing the boxers, first to my right, out of the blue corner, wearing the green and white trunks, weighing 132 1/2 pounds. He is from the Bronx, New York, by way of San Luis Potosi with a record of 6-0, 4 via the KO. He is a former amateur national champion from Mexico. Please welcome Guadalupe Rosales. He weighs 131 1/4 pounds from the Capitol Heights in Maryland with a record of 11, 2, and 3, 4 via the KO. Please welcome James Baker.
Baker and the unbeaten Rosales tonight in the ballroom. Jon Saraceno with the matchup.
Well, as the fighters get Kenny Chevalier's pre-fight instructions, you see the numbers. Rosales at a disadvantage with the reach. 20 years old. Hot prospect moving up.
Comes into this fight as the hotshot prospect, and James Baker would like to dull his prospects with a victory here tonight. Johnny, take a look at Rosales, and in the style of the Mexican fighters, we expect him to throw a lot of punches. Right now, James Baker taking the lead here at the start of the fight.
Typically, Latino fighters are tremendous body punchers and relentless attackers.
Nice overhand right and a left by James Baker.
This is an important fight for Baker. Coming in 11, 2, and 3. In his last fight against Nate Campbell, he was stopped in the 9th round. Campbell, though, with
unbeaten Campbell.
15-0 with 14 knockouts. And the corner really stopped it. They said that Baker had twisted his ankle in the 5th round and was never the same after that.
Baker very, very busy here in round 1, taking the fight to Rosales. This fight is scheduled for 8 rounds. And once again, you have to remember, Rosales had to go to the scale 3 times to make weight for this fight. Rosales waving Baker in.
And they want a counterpunch. Nice short uppercut on the inside by Baker. He has been very active here in the opening moments of this fight. He's not allowing Rosales to get off the way Rosales likes to.
Got that jab right in his kisser.
You see Rosales continuing to press the attack. He's not backing off one bit.
Kind of like trying to ward off the punches of Baker to get inside.
It'll be a very interesting fight. Right hand
nice
by
right
Rosales.
hand and a big headbutt there. Clash of heads, and Baker stunned by that clash of heads. And a left hand by Rosales and a right hand by Rosales.
Rosales going downstairs too in his first round, trying to establish some kind of a body tack on the inside.
A real good first round of this fight. Uppercut on the inside by Baker.
Baker's got to get his gloves up higher. He's getting hit with a lot of punches here in his first round. A lot of right hands and left hooks.
Baker is hurt with the right hand by Rosales.
Well, when Baker jabs, he drops his left hand down after he punches. He's got to get that up along his jawline, protect his face.
Rosales continues to bring the heat and has Baker in a corner. Big overhand right by Rosales, and Baker stunned again.
Hey, what, Rosales isn't fighting like a guy who had a hard time making weight, is concerned about going later rounds.
Well, he is bringing it. Round 1 brought to you by Toyota. More of Ballroom Boxing coming up in a moment.
Hey, James.
Welcome back to the ballroom action from round 1 as Guadalupe Rosales.
Relentless attack in the first round, as you mentioned, Larry. Head and body gave Baker no room to breathe.
We gotta like Rosales with all the punches he's thrown, but you gotta like Baker as well. He took it to him early. Would not be intimidated by the hotshot Rosales, the unbeaten Guadalupe Rosales.
If you look up the phrase economical puncher in the boxing dictionary, you will not see Rosales' picture at all.
No.
The volume of punches in that first round was tremendous. 20-year-old fighter in terrific shape.
Baker's got to get off the ropes, John. He can't stand there and let Rosales just pummel him.
Rosales watched some Julio Cesar Chavez tapes with those left ripping hooks to the body.
Big overhand right by Rosales, but Baker battling back. Baker showing great heart here.
Baker's got his gloves full tonight here. He really does.
Baker in the corner, can't be there long.
I mean, when is the last...
Huge left hook by Baker, scores, but Rosales just walks right through it.
When is the last time you saw a fighter come out and fight this aggressively in the first 2 rounds? You just don't see this kind of action anymore.
Gotta love it. Baker's got to get off the ropes, though. He is stuck up against the ropes. He's battling nicely, countering nicely, but he's taking the short end of this right now.
This fight has all the earmarkings of the best action fight we've had this year.
Could be. They can keep it up. Good uppercut, stuns Baker, and he is stunned up against the ropes.
He's got to get off those ropes, Larry.
Boy, look at the work rate of Rosales.
Baker's either got to initiate some clinches or get off the ropes, one or the other.
Rosales tagging Baker up against the ropes.
Oh, big right hand by Rosales. Baker shaking it off.
Good combination by Baker.
I mean, Rosales throwing a lot of punches, but I don't know about the effect of those punches. How hard are they? Baker's not going anywhere.
Baker looking clear-headed right now, firing back. And Rosales taking a step backwards.
You got to wonder, is Rosales ever going to punch himself out here? We're only in the 2nd round.
Little blood from the mouth of James Baker.
Hey, well, you might be able to question Rosales' punching power because he has hit Baker with several clean shots, and Baker has gone nowhere.
Rosales continues to move forward, man. He is relentless with the assault. What a great round. I'm telling you right now, they must have thrown 250 punches between them. Great round here in the ballroom, brought to you by Budweiser, the king of beers. More to come. Looking back, action from round 2, and what a round it was. Non-stop action, both men just throwing down for the entire 3 minutes. Quickly, Jon Scheinman, your scorecard after 2 rounds of non-stop action.
20-18 Rosales, but I'll tell you something. I think James Baker rolled with a lot of those shots. He wasn't taking them flush. I'm sitting here with the fight doctor, Jerome Spears, and he said it reminded him of Roger Mayweather versus Julio Cesar Chavez. Pretty good stuff.
Gotta love it. Right now in the ballroom, Larry Michael with Jon Saraceno. Good uppercut by James Baker.
He rolled with some of those shots, but I tell you what, he caught flush also.
I'm not sure that Baker can hurt Rosales, John. That's the problem right now for Baker.
Yeah, because it's evident because Rosales only has a forward gear. He is not slowed down at all.
Right here in round 3, however, I think James Baker is out throwing Rosales.
And if you remember the outcome of that Mayweather-Chavez fight, Chavez broke down Mayweather. I was at that fight in Los Angeles. He broke him down and basically made Mayweather quit.
The Black Mamba. Good right hand by Rosales as he continues to put the pressure on James Baker. What a fight.
And Baker is not the kind of puncher that Mayweather was by any standard.
Baker spending too much time on the ropes. See Rosales, though, just relentless pressure, keeps on moving forward, smothering Baker, who just goes down. I believe
he ran away.
Just tired.
Well, he ran away to get away from him, and he slipped, I think, partly out of fatigue. You know what, Rosales needs to go downstairs more, Larry, because that will slow up Baker a little bit, and then he can go up to the head. Right there, he should be attacking the body with a vengeance.
Well, body and head, there you go.
I'll tell you what, Rosales is one of the best young combination punchers I've seen in a long time.
James Baker showing really strong right now, though, as well.
Well, Baker's getting a little bit desperate here. Now you see him holding, grabbing, running away. Is there blood coming? No. I saw some blood around Baker's eye.
I wouldn't be surprised. Big right hand by Rosales as he continues to pursue James Baker.
Can you imagine what it's like to be in a ring with somebody and you cannot get them off of you?
Wow.
I mean, what do you do?
It's like a fly all over you. Baker again up against the ropes.
I tell you what, give it to Baker, man. He's fighting back. He's not going into a shell. He's trying. Smart move there by Baker. A shot right along the body line. But you know what? He's got to do that. He's got to take some chances. Go downstairs low, even if they're, borderline shots. He's got to try to slow up Rosales.
These guys have not slowed down through 3 rounds in this fight.
Terrific fight here in the Ballroom Boxing Series.
Action from round 3 here in the ballroom is Guadalupe Rosales in the green trunks with a white trim, and James Baker up against the ropes doing some serious damage. Now I want to quickly bring in Jon Scheinman for his scorecard. I know it's in favor of Guadalupe Rosales, but Baker has done a great job so far.
No question. Rosales pitching a shutout. I got him at 30-27, but I guarantee you, Lenord, Langley, and Al Scott, the trainers in James Baker's corner, said, stick around, get your shots in, and ride this out, because Rosales had to lose 3 pounds last night. We stuck around and made sure of it. Hopefully, they're thinking, hopefully this guy's going to wear out in the later rounds.
Well, that's an excellent point, and that could happen. But being a young 20-year-old guy, this Rosales has a lot of energy to expend. We just don't know how much energy expended trying to lose that weight. That's the question mark. I've got Rosales ahead too, 30-27 after 3.
Question is, can James Baker dig deep enough to take this fight into the late rounds? This is scheduled for 8 rounds.
Both guys trading shots along the hip line.
Oh, nice shot by Rosales with a right hand, and Baker showing some signs here of fatigue here. Maybe hitting the wall right now as Rosales is hitting him in his skull.
Well, this fight has been fought at an incredible pace from the opening minutes of the first round, and Rosales has not let up 1 iota.
Baker's still clear-headed, maybe tired, but not hurt, working against the ropes nicely. But Rosales breaking him down right here.
I mean, Rosales has probably thrown over 300 punches. We're in the 4th round.
Nice combination by Rosales as Baker continues to battle back.
Good left hook by Rosales. Baker trying to do some body work. Good right hand by Baker.
See the nose of Rosales beginning to swell up a little bit, but he continues to move forward. He is a machine.
Oh, Baker's having a much better round here in the 4th. Trying to work his way back into the fight.
And Rosales just keeps on coming, however. I'm very impressed with Rosales. Baker just trying to break his arm off, maybe stop the fight that way, who knows?
How long can Rosales keep up this torrid pace?
Big overhand right by Rosales. Blood from the nose from Rosales now. As Baker got through with the right hand, there's another right hand by Baker.
And Rosales,
stopping Rosales for the first time tonight.
Rosales starting to show a little bit of swelling on his face.
Looking at the corner of Baker and Lenord Langley, his trainer, looking to have a little bit of smile on his face.
Oh, good
left hand by Baker, and Rosales is rocked.
2 left hooks, Larry.
Could it be a turning of the tide here in this round? We'll find out. A great fight in the ballroom tonight. We'll be back. Looking back at action from the 4th round, maybe a glimmer of hope for James Baker as he stunned Guadalupe Rosales at the end of that fight and actually pushed him back for the first time in this fight. Jon Scheinman, what's your scorecard at the midway point of the fight?
Baker on the scoreboard the 4th round. I definitely gave him that one. Rosales ahead 39-37, and I think Rosales was just absolutely stunned that this guy was fighting back and landing those kind of shots. Great fight, Larry.
Round 5 underway.
There was a gleam in Baker's eye in that round that said, I'm not going anywhere. This is going to be a long, tough night for you. And that's the way he fought, and I gave him that round also.
Baker's corner really fired him up after the finish of round 4. And Rosales, a little blood from his nose at the end of round 4, and he's swelling up around the eyes.
I tell you what, even though Rosales is only 20 years old, he doesn't look all that discouraged, but who knows? Who knows? He's not punching as much as he did those first 3.5 rounds.
James Baker beginning to come with this jab right now. Working the left hand and working Rosales around the ring.
Well, Rosales is counterpunching a little bit in this round. He had been the lead dog through 3.5 rounds, basically.
Here comes Rosales again, but none of those punches are scoring blows. Baker slipping them very nicely up against the ropes.
He has rolled with a lot of those shots tonight.
Good work by James Baker on the ropes to turn it around now in the center of the ring. Rosales has slowed up a little bit, but his work rate is still very strong. Good left hand by Baker. And Rosales drops his hands for the first time in this fight.
And Baker keeps hitting him with the left hook. Rosales is dropping his right hand. Really impressed with Baker. Really am, because you know what? It would have been easy to go into a shell the way Rosales came out.
Good straight right hand by Rosales. Baker covering up. Needs to get off the ropes right now. Needs to work off the ropes using his shoulder there. Good left hand by Baker. Slows Rosales but doesn't stop him.
Baker throws a nice, short, compact left hook.
Boy, conditioning is going to have to be a factor here, Jon Saraceno. As we talked about, Guadalupe Rosales had to lose some weight yesterday at the weigh-in. Right now, we're in round 5 of 8. It's an 8-round fight, and Rosales has expended a lot of energy.
And he's only been 6 rounds one time, 4 rounds twice. Baker in his last fight, a stoppage, we mentioned by Nate Campbell, got into the 9th round. So Baker has a little more experience. He had a series of 6-round decisions. Is that fatigue? What was that?
No. He got tripped up with the legs. He got tripped up with the legs of Guadalupe Rosales. And Rosales coming straight at him, sensing at the end of round 5 coming with us now here. And Rosales beginning to bring it a little bit at the end of round 5. What a great fight in the ballroom. Ballroom Boxing brought to you by Toyota. More to come. Welcome back to the ballroom action from round 5 as Guadalupe Rosales had James Baker up against the ropes. Good work by Rosales through. Let's quickly go to Jon Scheinman for his scorecard. John?
Well, I thought Rosales really reestablished himself in that round. I gave it to him. I have him up 49-46. I'll tell you something, Larry, the resiliency of youth. This guy just has a reservoir of energy that never seems to give out. And it was just tremendous work rate in that last round. After Baker, it seemed to be turning the tide.
All right, Jon Saraceno, your scorecard quickly.
49-46 Rosales.
You agree with Scheinman?
Upset of the evening.
Jeez. James Baker here, though, still in this fight. With 3 rounds to go, Guadalupe Rosales continues to put the pressure on. Got to be impressed with both these guys. Rosales really digging deep right now with this assault here in the 6th round.
Not all those punches are landing, and Baker is rolling with some of them. There's a left hook by Rosales that hit the mark. Ooh, right hand by Rosales.
Baker about to go here. Baker feeling a little shaky right now. Scores with a left hand. He needs to do something to counter.
Oh, Rosales is back into that mode he was in the first 3 rounds. Two-fisted fury.
His little shoulder in there as well. Baker on the counter, left hook inside. Another one by Baker. Baker doubles up the left hook.
If we're right on our unofficial cards, Baker's dug himself somewhat of a hole here. He can't afford to lose this round.
Needs a knockdown or obviously a knockout.
Or needs to win the round anyway, and he's not.
Rosales looking a little shaky right now, John, though. He looks looking fatigued after a very quick start. Continues to bring the heat. Oh, good right hand by James Baker. Stops the assault by Rosales.
Well, Rosales got careless and lazy there, and he backed out with his hands down, and he got caught. That's a little bit of a fatigue factor, which is not to be...
Big right hand by Baker. Backs Rosales up again. And there are 2 rounds to go. Another left hand by Baker. Rosales in some trouble. Rosales up against the ropes for the first time tonight. Baker really coming strong. Rosales fading here in round 6.
Well, Baker's making it close. He needs this round. He's got to finish fast.
Rosales' legs are beginning to go a little bit. You can see by the way he's jumping at Baker with the punches. Left-right combination by Rosales.
Well, this is a close round. Rosales had the advantage early. That's a knockdown, isn't it? No, a slip.
It's a slip, called a slip by Kenny Chevalier. Baker comes in and holds on. His legs are tired, Johnny.
Yes.
Stepping all over the feet of Guadalupe Rosales.
I think his legs went out from under him there. I don't think it was a slip at all. I'm not so sure if it was from a hard punch, but his legs are going.
This is an action fight on Ballroom Boxing. Action from round 6. Let's go to Jon Scheinman for a quick look at his scorecard. John.
Oh, it's getting tighter. 2 rounds to go, and I have Rosales up 58-56. Baker has definitely worked his way into the fight. I've given him 2 of the last 3, and we sensed that I sensed anyway that in that last round Rosales was gassed. I don't think he has anything left in the tank.
We're going to see. We're going to see if he has gone to the fill-up station as he pursues James Baker.
Well, he may be low on fuel, and I'm not so sure about that, but he's built up a lead, I think, that it may not matter, and I'm not so sure Rosales is out of gas.
We're going to find out here with 6 minutes to go in a great fight in the ballroom. Ballroom Boxing brought to you by Michael's 8th Avenue, a host for grand occasions. And a reminder, check us out on the web, www.ballroomboxing.com, and check out the new series, The Best of Ballroom Boxing.
And that was fun putting that package together. We had a lot of fun.
Some of the great fights here in the ballroom, all the great fights. Information on the web, www.ballroomboxing.com. Rosales up against the ropes. James Baker still clear-eyed and some blood from the nose of Guadalupe Rosales. Jon Saraceno, does Baker need a knockout to win?
Well, Mike already does, for what that's worth. I think if Rosales could really turn up the heat here, he might be able to stop Baker, because I think Baker is really fatigued, and I don't think his legs are under him anymore.
A lot of blood from the nose of Rosales here. Baker with a warning from the referee, Kenny Chevalier. Baker's legs are just about gone. He's put a lot of effort into this fight.
Let's go. Come on.
Both men very, very fatigued.
The trouble is right now Rosales is also tired, so he's not quite as frisky as he was earlier in the fight. If he was, Baker'd be in a lot more trouble. You see both fighters a little arm weary, and when you miss with those punches, it even takes more energy out of your body.
Baker on his toes right now. I don't know where he's finding the energy to get on the bicycle around the ring, but he's doing it.
I think sometimes fighters do that to try to get some life in their legs. You see them try to move a little bit more on the outside, and I think that's what Baker's trying to do. I'm not so sure he wants to stand inside with Rosales anymore. See, he's fighting a different kind of fight right now. He's trying to be elusive, because I think he knows he's in trouble.
Rosales' work rate has come way down here in round 7. This is his slowest round of the fight in terms of punches.
And why wouldn't it, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, you know, he's been throwing punches from the opening bell. Just an incredible amount of punches thrown.
Really is very impressive.
Baker slips nicely.
And he's still throwing. I mean, it's not like he's not throwing.
Baker had some power to gain some respect right now. That would turn the tide. Another action round here. 3 minutes to go. Close fight here in the ballroom. Ballroom Boxing brought to you by Budweiser, the king of beers. We'll be back. 8th and final round here in the ballroom. Let's check the scorecards with our experts. Jon Scheinman, how do you have it scored through 7?
68-65. James Baker, a light punching fighter on my card, needs a knockout to win.
Jon Saraceno, do you concur?
Close, but not exactly. I've got Rosales ahead by 4. Baker needs a stoppage. And he's going for it. He nailed him with a big right hand.
A knockdown by Baker here of Rosales would really straighten the scorecards out, but Rosales is just showing a lot of fire here at the end.
Rosales doesn't want to let this one get away. Now, see, there's a case where
he slipped in the corner on the water.
It was a slip, but his legs are going. Look, he used Kenny Chevalier to support him, and Kenny said, hey, get your hands off me, man. You can't use me.
His feet just slipped out from under him in the corner of Rosales there.
Blood coming out from Rosales' nose a little bit, but that's been the only sign of damage, a little bit of swelling. Guy looks like he could go 15 rounds if he had to.
Just an intense performance here tonight in the ballroom for both of these warriors. Got to give them both a lot of credit. Baker catching a lot right now to the head.
You know, on any other night against a lot of fighters in the Ballroom series, Baker would have put on a very good performance and probably would have won, but not against this buzzsaw that is Rosales.
Rosales has Baker turned around. The blood from the nose of Rosales is not a factor. Rosales continues to punch. Just an incredible work weight by Guadalupe Rosales, the unbeaten fighter out of Mexico, now making his home in New York. Overhand right by Rosales. The question becomes here now is, what is Rosales' punch like? He's hit Baker with everything he's got, John, and Baker has not gone down.
That's a legitimate question.
And if you looked at the two guys right now, I think Rosales looks the worse for wear. Good overhand right by Guadalupe. Left-right combination by Baker.
Baker's having a good last round here, but I don't think it's going to be enough.
Well, this is where you dig deep to see what you're made of, see how the training comes in. Good left-right combination by Baker.
Baker's trying to stop him. He really is. He is trying. He knows he's behind in this fight.
Rosales is hurt. Does Baker have enough to put him down?
See, Rosales here should be holding on, really, but the macho is coming out in Rosales. He doesn't need to be doing what he's doing. He's leaving himself wide open.
What a fight, man. Goodness gracious, what a fight. Crowd here standing in the ballroom as James Baker and Guadalupe Rosales go the distance. Who won this war? We're going to find out when we return. This is Ballroom Boxing. Ballroom Boxing is brought to you by Toyota, by Budweiser, the king of beers, by Michael's 8th Avenue, a host of grand occasions, and by ballroomboxing.com. Looking at action from round 8, Guadalupe Rosales and James Baker going toe-to-toe for 8 rounds. Neither man took a step back over the entire 8 rounds. Just an incredible fight, John.
Well, one reason Rosales didn't take a step back was because Baker, even though he landed some good shots in the fight and was active, he didn't have the kind of power to make Rosales think twice about it. Rosales just kept going forward in one gear, and I think really basically the volume of punches Rosales landed was enough to win the fight. Really, hats off to both fighters tonight.
Let's see who won. Let's go to Pat O'Malley.
We go to the scorecards. Judge Malik Waleed scores it 77-75 Baker. Judge Holmes scores it 77-75 Rosales. And Judge Don Risher scores it 78-74. The winner by a split decision, James Baker!
James Baker wins a shocker. Guadalupe Rosales is stunned by the decision. A split decision victory for James Baker. 77-75. 78-74, 77-75. Jon Saraceno, what do you think about that decision?
Well, I think they had the wrong guy winning the fight, but 2 of the judges here in Maryland had Baker winning the fight. Baker is a local product from Washington. I'm not casting any aspirations of just stating a fact. I think that certainly Rosales landed the majority of the punches and the more effective punches. Baker had his moments in the fight. I don't see how anybody could think that Baker won the fight. I had him losing by 3.
Rosales was the aggressor the entire fight. James Baker, though, is the victor. And the scorecard 78-74 is the one that shocks me. Let's go to John Scheinman standing by in the ring.
Tremendous performance under unrelenting pressure by Guadalupe Rosales. You seemed surprised. Your whole corner seemed elated and shocked at the end at getting the victory. Did you think you would pull this out?
Yeah, I kind of feel it was close, but I figured my jab won the fight for me. My jab pulled it out. If it weren't for me with this jab, he probably got the decision, or it probably would have been a draw, but my jab won it for me.
We felt early on in the fight when he was putting that big pressure on you that you were rolling with a lot of the head blows early on. Jerome Spears said you reminded him of Roger Mayweather against Chavez, who Guadalupe Rosales has compared himself to. Was that part of the strategy to try to ride him out early?
Look, I wanted to see if he was going to punch himself out, then I come on strong in the end. But he kept on with the pressure. He surprised me because I thought he was going to fold in later rounds, but he didn't. So I used my jab. My jab worked a whole lot better than it would have been doing, and it pulled it out for me.
Now Rosales is over here. He's very disappointed. It was a tremendous fight by everyone. They say they want a rematch, and they'd be happy to come back down to the ballroom. Would you do it again with him, or you maybe want to move on to something else?
I don't know, man. I'm going to go to my corner, man, see what they say. If they say, yeah, it's a go, it's a go. You know what I'm saying? I don't care. If it's up to my trainers and my manager, if they say yeah, it don't matter to me. I'm a fighter.
Well, James Baker has pulled out what is one of the greatest fights we've ever seen here in the ballroom. He's beaten Guadalupe Rosales in an action-packed bout. Let's go back to ringside to Larry and John.
So James Baker is the winner here tonight, and it is a controversial decision. Rosales really was the aggressor the entire fight. James Baker says the jab was the key. You know what we have to do, don't you?
Rematch. And you know what? James Baker didn't really sound all that confident in his victory speech. He sounded like a guy that was bordering on who really won the fight. I think he realizes he got away with something tonight. But you know what? He hung in there, and he did fight a very good fight. Let's do it again.
Let's do it again. We hope we do it again with you as well. For Jon Scheinman and Jon Saraceno, I'm Larry Michael. We'll see you next time for Ballroom Boxing.